Hello and welcome to Noble Reporting. This is your host, Dale Noble, reporting. Coming up, Volodymyr Zelensky wins the bidding war for the Ukrainian presidency. Greta Thunberg travelled all the way from Sweden to London to talk about the effect of human activity on climate change. America, the hero against terror, has become the villain, according to Iran. Change UK is calling for a Remain alliance after realising that their position isn't popular. Carl Benjamin's MEP campaign has been silenced on Twitter, while some have called for a lobotomy and death upon the man himself. Just another day for him on the internet. And Joe Biden entered the 2020 presidential race, and much like his groping, no one wanted it. But first, comedian Volodymyr Zelensky won the Ukrainian presidential election. Detractors claim his victory is a joke, making him an immediate fit to the political arena. Neighbouring leader Vladimir Putin has reportedly refused to congratulate Zelensky. His spokesperson Dmitry Peskov stated that it was due to a lack of clarity regarding the legitimacy of the elections, as nearly 3.5 million people were unable to vote. This is in reference to the population of eastern Ukraine, which is currently locked in conflict with Russian-backed forces. Peskov claimed that Putin would not offer his congratulations until the conflict came to an end and when the Ukraine was annexed. Unconfirmed reports from the Kremlin suggest that Putin is actually withholding congratulations until he comes to terms with the idea that another of his name is in an office of state leadership. Looks like someone forgot the memo, #awkward. Greta Thunberg arrived in London earlier this week to talk with leaders of various political parties about their inaction towards climate change. The politicians took a particular interest, though this may be to do with her age rather than the content of her speech. This, of course, refers to the fact that she is 16, a number of which the politicians seem to have had an obsession with ever since losing the Brexit referendum. After criticising the politicians, corporations, and older generations, Thunberg took aim at cows, volcanoes, and the future generations of the unborn for their role in the devastation of the world. She voiced her support for the protesters of Extinction Rebellion, claiming that they had a scope which could only be envisioned by well-to-do members of society, much like herself. Approximately 100 of these protesters staged a die-in inside the Natural History Museum. Of course, they asked the museum staff for permission before they protested, as they didn't want to be an inconvenience. Thunberg, a sufferer of Asperger's, is recorded as saying, "I don't get it." A video circulating social media of a similar die-in was recorded at a London Waitrose. Alarms were raised, however, when this was found not to be a protest, but was instead clinical exhaustion caused by unhealthy vegan diets. After 2 weeks of rebellion, organisers set up a closing ceremony. This received much applause as ordinary working people were glad to see them go. Iranian parliament has passed a bill declaring that the United States troops within the Middle East are terrorist forces. The bill also allows Iranian forces to take action against these agents of terror. The move comes after the US labelled an arm of the Iranian military as a terrorist organisation, and it is suspected that in the coming week, Trump will retaliate by claiming Iran as a terrorist hole, thus creating a tit-for-tat policy-making scheme. There are fears that this may lead to war between the two countries, but let's be realistic here, Iran has no chance. Change UK, the independent group, the Remain Alliance the Third of Notting Hill, began their campaigning for the EU elections this week. As with the Brexit Party, of whom we shall swiftly move on from, the Cooks revealed their list of running candidates. However, that is where the similarities end, as the launch was met with numerous blunders. Within 24 hours, two selected candidates dropped out of contention, as previous bad behaviour was dredged up from years ago to smear their campaigns. Ali Sajadi and Joseph Rousseau apologised for their past comments about Romanians and black women respectively, thus ruining their political careers in the process. To be gleaned from this is the idea to never apologise, much like Carl Benjamin. Francis Wheatman and Nora Mulready were also examined for past behaviours, though they managed to weather the storm by keeping their heads down and utilising their female privilege. Rounding out the high profile cast were ex broadcaster Gavin Esler and former Tory MP Rachel Johnson, two respectable individuals that truly understand the people. There were even rumours circulating that the Cooks would ally with the Liberal Democrats, but despite their desperation for votes, even they couldn't approach that kiss of death. If it all sounds confused, that is probably because it is. Elsewhere, vilified personality Tommy Robinson announced his intention to run as MEP for the North West. This led to a reported increase in heart failure from his detractors, thus increasing the hopeful's chance to be elected. UKIP MEP candidate Carl Benjamin has been under major media scrutiny as of late, and this week was no different. It seems that Mr. Benjamin has kicked a hornet's nest, or rather, he brought his own hornet's nest, thrown it down as he would a gauntlet, and watched with glee as the hornets began stinging themselves. Sky News ran a smear piece against the respectable YouTuber, unaware that Benjamin had already posted the actual conversation on his channel. This highlighted a huge problem for the news organisation, namely that if they had spent some more time and effort in researching Mr. Benjamin, then they would have not been caught out for such a blatant hit piece. Mr. Benjamin was hit shortly afterwards by a video asking for his death, and if not that reasonable response, a simple full frontal lobotomy. The problem with the latter position is that it would have little effect upon his level of critical thinking, and thus be wasted effort. I jest, of course, but when the first call was for his death, you cannot take such simpletons seriously. To round the week out, Sir Benjamin was accused of child rape apology by the Daily Mail. To be honest, we haven't really put much effort into researching this accusation, so I'll just say that he's in a bit of bother around this one. We can confirm, however, that Benjamin has now taken steps to sue the Daily Mail in an attempt to tackle the disingenuous nature of modern journalism. Though I ask of him, come and try it. Finally, former Vice President Joe Biden officially announced his bid for the 2020 presidential election, becoming the 823rd person to throw their hat into the ring. He now has to face down tough competition from other exuberant youthful personalities, such as Colonel Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Mike Gravel. Biden has recently come under fire for his touchy persona and allegations surrounding sexual assault. But despite this, he remains the leader of the field, which has led to questions about the quality of candidates available to the Democratic Party, especially when considering President Trump's firm level of popularity as of present. That is all for this episode. Thank you for tuning into Noble Reporting. See you next Sunday.